My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people, and we are in week five of a really important conversation. We have been talking extensively about relationships, not just marriage, but any relationship you have with anybody that you want to build with. And today, I get a special opportunity to speak with a couple that I think can really teach you some really good stuff. That can really help you to have the kind of life you want, the kind of relationship you're aiming for. And so I'd like to introduce you to Mike and Vicki Drumming. Mike and Vicki Drumming are also stars of the new film that we just completed after 2 years. 2 years of hard work, y'all. This film, it is called Till Death Do Us Part. And Tiara KJ Williams is the director. And we partnered with Tiara to basically help our people to really see what marriage looks like. Really see what a strong relationship looks like. And when I say strong, most of the time you don't get strong without going through some hell to get there. And the Drummings, without further ado, I'd like to say welcome the Drummings and also ask you all, how you doing today?
Doing fine.
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you. And so, Mike and Vicki, you live right outside of San Antonio, 20 minutes away from San Antonio. What was the name of the city again?
New Brunswick, Texas. It's like a German town.
New Brunswick, Texas. Okay. And you two have been married. Well, I'm sorry. What was that, man?
New Brunswick.
New Brunsville.
New Brunswick.
BRAUNFELS.
FELS. Bronzeville. That's it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, very nice to meet you. And so, how long have you been married?
34 years.
All right. Any kids?
Two
kids, okay. And how old are the kids?
We have an 18-year-old boy that we just delivered to Texas Tech yesterday. Well, we took him down there on Saturday. So
you just took your son to college.
Yep, he's a baby, the 18-year-old. We just took him to Texas Tech on Saturday. We delivered him down there, helped him move in. And then we have a 31-year-old daughter that lives here with us with her dog Mocha.
Very nice.
And then I have a stepson. Mike has a son named Tyrone.
Very nice. Wow. Yeah. We deliver our 18-year-old to college tomorrow, and he can't wait to leave, and we can't wait to take him. So shout out to the University of Louisville and also to Texas Tech. And shout out to all the parents who are getting their kids through school and making sure that they are doing well. So let's jump into this. First of all, everybody say hello to Mike and Vicki. Everybody say hello, Mike, hello, Vicki in the chat. Let them know that they are loved and appreciated and welcome. And I want everybody to know why I'm eager to talk to Mike and Vicki. It's because Mike and Vicki are among your master teachers when it comes to rebuilding your families. The reason, just to remind everybody, the reason we've been talking a lot about relationships is because you guys know that we talk a lot about wealth. Well, you can't build wealth. It's hard to build wealth without family. There's no community or anywhere in the world that can build wealth without family. So this is laid out to help those of you that understand this, that agree with us, to kind of know the rules of these things and how these things work. And so Mike and Vicki are two people that have done it. They're not just they're not just sounding good talking about it. They've actually done 34 years. You can't fake 34 years. By talking your way out of it. You actually have to do it. So let's start with your story, Mike and Vicki. I'll start with you, Vicki. Ladies first. When did you first meet Mike?
I met him when I was 16 years old.
Wow, 16 in high school?
Yeah, he was out of high school. I think he's 3 years older than me.
He was out of high. Okay, 3 years. Okay, yeah, my wife and I are 3 years apart. And so, Mike, when you first met Vicki, what was going through your head?
It was just more of just a friendly thing, I was just happened to be the chauffeur that was driving her and her friends around.
Oh, really? Like so you were like a professional driver? Like you were really driving?
No, I mean they were in my car at the time.
Well, I got invited to spend the night with a girlfriend. And I was in high school, and instead of spending the night, we went to a club instead of me just staying at the house doing girl things. She decided we were gonna go to a club, so we got taken to this club. And she kept talking about this guy named Eddie she wanted me to meet. Come to find out that was his brother, but I didn't know it at the time. So I met Eddie, and I didn't like Eddie. So then Eddie left us at the club, and my girlfriend was like, "Where's Eddie?" I said, "I don't know. He's gone. He got on my nerve. He was messing in my hair and messing around with me." And I said, "I didn't like him. He was touchy-feely." So he left us. She said, "Oh, that was our ride home." I said, "Well." And then there was this band playing, and there was a guy on the band that was in high school with us. So I kept talking to him during his breaks. And then the club closed at like 12 o'clock. So 12 o'clock, the club is closed. We're all outside hanging out, and I'm talking to the guy off the band. And he pulls up, but I didn't see him pull up. He has a gold Trans Am with a T-top.
Okay.
My girlfriend calls me over, and he's standing by his car. And my girlfriend said, "Hey, Vicki, this is Mike. We get ready to go home. Look for him. He's going to take us home." I said, "Okay, nice to meet you. Bye." Went back and started talking to the guy on the band. So then it was time to go. We clammed in his car. I was in the back seat behind him. Another girlfriend of mine was sitting beside me. And I started telling my girlfriend, "Why did you introduce me to that guy named Eddie? I didn't like him." And da-da-da-da-da. And the girlfriend in the back kept punching me in the elbow like this in the side. And I looked at her and she mouthed like, "That's his brother." And I looked at her and I realized what she was saying. I shut up in mid-sentence talking about his brother.
Oh. So okay, so you were supposed to meet Eddie's brother, or Mike's brother. I apologize, Mike's brother, whose name is Eddie, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so Mike, how did you know this was all going down? Like, how did you feel knowing that Vicki was supposed to meet your brother, but wasn't real interested in him? Like, how did that kind of resonate?
I was just, it wasn't no relationship. It was just being friendly.
Yeah, he didn't know, but that night when I was talking about his brother in his car, and my girlfriend mouthed me that's his brother, I stopped and I looked in the mirror and I could see him smiling, and he had the prettiest smile, he's pretty white teeth, and I saw him smile and I kind of shut up. Instead of him taking us home, my girlfriend had him take us to another club.
Wow. So y'all were clubbing 16? Ain't that kind of young to be clubbing?
I knew because that was something sneaky. We was doing sneaky, which I felt guilty about. So when we got to the next club, I told my girlfriends, "I'm not going in." And of course, he's not gonna leave me in his car. So he sat in the car and I got in the front seat and I just talked his head off that whole night. He just sitting smiling, listening to me, because I was telling him how much trouble I would be in if my mom knew I was out this time of night. And then if I went in the club, somebody might see my sisters, because I got a bunch of sisters, and they go tell my sister they saw your little sister at the club the other night. So I was telling him all this stuff, just sitting in the car, just going a mile a minute, talking to him. And and I just talked a long time, and he just smiled. And then finally, those girls come out the club. They get in the car, and we go home to my girlfriend's house, and he drops us off. But the next day, that morning, we're all in the room playing around, and all of a sudden we hear these cars outside. And my girlfriend looked outside, and she's like, "That's Eddie, and that's Mike." I'm thinking,
really? Okay. So let me ask you, Mike. When you were sitting there and talking to Vicki, did you think Vicki might be possibly the one, or be somebody that you would be interested in long term? And what was going through? Because I know that when I had the first conversation with my wife, I was just almost like hypnotized by her beauty. I couldn't really talk. I probably sound like humming Ralph Cramden, like. So how did you feel when you were talking to Vicki for the first time?
No, I thought, like I said, I thought she was a beautiful young lady, but there was just friend. I was looking for just a friend. I thought we were just gonna be friends at the time, but the more we hung out, the more we decided that maybe I decided this is the one, maybe, and we just from there.
Interesting. So let's fast forward this. So how did you know that you at what point did you start to feel like, okay, this is more than just a friend, like the Biz Markie song is? She wasn't just a friend, she became more than that. So how did that process work out for you?
Yeah, I think we just started. I think we were friends at first. We started hanging out together, doing different things, riding bikes, going to the movies, and then you just kind of slowly a relationship developed, and and it worked out great for us.
It took him. He didn't kiss me first. I kissed him.
Really? Okay.
He was taking too long. I knew I liked him, and he was taking too long. And they was standing outside my mom's house, and he was leaning up against the car, and we were talking, and he was just standing there smiling at me. Then finally, I just leaned in and kissed him. And then in my head, I said, "He's gonna be mine."
Wow. I love that. Okay, so how many months between when you first met and when you got engaged?
Couple She went off we dated for 2 years, and then she went off to college, and I went into the military, and
okay,
kind of separated. But after a couple of years, we still, we didn't have internet back then, so we were writing letters and phones. So we finally decided maybe this might work out. So we decided to go ahead and give it a shot.
He skipped something. I was getting ready to go in I was a senior in high school, getting ready to graduate. And his mom says, Vicki, what are you going to do when you graduate from high school? I said, I'm going to college. This is on a Sunday. I'm sitting in the house with his mom and dad. His dad's watching a TV show. He was sitting beside me. His mom was making a craft. And I said, I'm going to college. So she says, Michael, how are you going to marry her? She's going to college. And I'm thinking, marry? He never told me he wanted to marry me. He could tell his parents, but he told me. And I always was against getting married. I always said I was never getting married. I didn't want to get married. I grew up around bad marriages. So I never wanted to get married. So when his mom said that, I was like, huh. And then his dad, supposedly watching TV, heard the whole conversation, says, well, Michael, if she wants to go to college, you better let her go to college, because if y'all get married and something happens, she don't go to college, she's going to resent you for the rest of your life. He said, you want to see the world? He said, do what you want to do. Go in the military. You want to see the world. And so that's how he ended up going to the military. I kept my mindset on going to college, and I went to college. And what we did, though, is before we separated, I told him, I said, we're going to be so many miles apart. Whatever you do, just don't let it get back to me. And vice versa. I'm going off to college, so whatever I do, I should be able to protect him too. Because he gave me a promise ring. So I said,
okay, nice.
Whatever you do, just don't let it get back to me. We can't make promises to each other we can't keep. And
so the promises you made were promises that you took very seriously. You didn't it wasn't just a ring, it was really a commitment to something.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And I wasn't gonna hold him down to being a perfect person, going to the military, and he can be thousands of miles away, and I'm going off to college. I don't know what might happen with me in college. So I just told him, whatever he did, don't let it get back to me, vice versa, especially if we was going to be together. We was going to protect each other in that way.
Interesting. So that's an interesting statement you made, Vicki. So you said, whatever you do, don't let it get back to me.
Right.
That's an because that's different. Whereas there are people that would say, you better not do nothing that I don't approve of. And I think, because you have that song, I don't care about the other girls, just be good to me. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I just found that's really interesting. So
I didn't want to make a promise that I knew he might not be able to keep. And the same for me. I didn't want to make a promise that I couldn't keep. I just wanted us to be free to know if we did something that we was going to be true to each other and be honest. If I did decide to go another route, that I'll be honest and tell him, and vice versa.
Okay.
And not let the other person tell me,
Yeah, and by the way, everybody, I'm talking to Mike and Vicki Drumming, and they are stars in the new movie that we just made up to 2 years. It took 2 years to make this movie, y'all. It's called Till Death Do Us Part, and it's an extension of the Black Love Blueprint series. And what we did was we went and we spoke to 6 Black couples that have been married more than 30 years. Mike and Vicki Drumming are couple number 5, and they're also going to join us when we show their segment of the movie, which everybody can watch the movie for free, but you got to show up live if you want to see it for free. So our movies are free if you show up live. You can go to blackmovienight.net. The URL's on the screen. We get together Thursday night. We're going to watch the movie, not just talk to the Drummings. We're also going to talk to Dr. Alicia, my wife, who's a relationship therapist, and also Tiara KJ Williams, the director of the film. So you can register at blackmovienight.net. So let me ask you this, Mr. and Mrs. Drummond. So first of all, what college you go to, Mrs. Drummond?
I went to South Carolina State.
HBCU.
Bulldogs.
All right. And what you major in?
Electrical engineering.
Okay. So Mr. Drummond is a smart man like me. Well, I'm not. I don't know how smart I am, but I know he's a smart man because he married a smart woman. Because smart women are the best in my view. So, Mr. Drummond, what branch of the military did you serve in?
I served 28 years in the Air Force.
Oh, okay. Well, thank
you.
I
must say, give people their brains. So he's pretty smart.
All right. Well, thank you for your service. I appreciate that. So let's fast forward. So, at what point are we walking down the aisle? How much more time? So we get the promise ring, And then is there like a wedding, like an engagement proposal after that, or did you go
Well,
from promise ring to wedding?
I finished college, then I started my master's program, and then he was always there. He was always there supporting me. We were still writing each other. We would see each other when he come home on leave. You know, I pushed any and everybody aside that was in my space to be with him when he came when he would come home. Then finally, I think in my first year of my grad school, I called him. I said, "You ready to get married?" He was like, "Yeah." So he flew home, and we went and picked out rings, which we didn't get because I was trying to pick out something really big, which we couldn't afford at the time. So he ended up saying, "Just please let me get the ring, and once we get married, or we've been married a while, you can get whatever ring you want." So we picked out these rings, and we had a pretty big wedding. I had 12 bridesmaids.
Ooh, 12. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of people.
But the neatest thing about our wedding is that his mom and dad paid for our reception.
Ah, okay, very nice. So, let me ask you this. Start with you, Mrs. Drummond, then you, Mr. Drummond. Your parents were both of your parents married at the time you got married?
Mine? Yeah, my parents were married for 52 years, I think.
Okay. What about you, Mrs. Drummond?
I grew up just the opposite with a single mom, 7 kids, and it was bad influences around me everywhere. My sisters, I had sisters that were married, but they were bad relationships. I watched them growing up. And that was one of the reasons why I said I was never gonna get married, because I watched them and I was like, I ain't ever getting married, you know. But he was like, you can't judge your marriage on what you're being experienced around. You can't judge yours by that. He told me that one time. Me and him was talking, and he knew how I felt about marriage, and he was like, you can't judge what your marriage would be like based on what you're growing up around.
Yeah, that's interesting because a lot of times what we see growing up affects how we view our relationships going forward, and I can get that. It seems to me that if you didn't see marriage, like I saw my parents married, they were like brother and sister. They were inseparable. And I just assumed that when people got married, they stayed married. I didn't know nothing about divorces and anything like that. And I find that it seems to me like when you whatever you saw growing up, sometimes we go just model that, because sometimes it's hard to model something you never really saw and don't really understand. So let me ask you this. So when you got married, okay, so you mentioned to me earlier, Mrs. Drummond, and I'd like to get both your perspectives on this. The word infidelity had come up. My notes when Tiara sent me over the notes about you as a couple, because I was curious about your story. And I said, oh gosh, I feel a little awkward bringing this up because I don't want to pry too much. But you said that there was a sneaky little woman who decided she wanted to kind of get between you and your husband. And what was really funny, everybody, I want to mention this, is Mrs. Drummond says, oh yeah, and she told me she was going to interfere with my marriage. And I never told him that. And I said, you mean you just told him just now? She said, yeah. So he just now found out 5 minutes ago about what this lady had done. Can you talk to us about that, Mrs. Drummond?
Yeah, I was in college and I got a letter from her. And basically telling me if I felt like it was okay for me to marry him, then it was okay for her to mess around with him.
Oh.
Yeah.
And she wrote it in a letter.
Yeah, she sent it to me before we got married.
Wow.
But even with him coming to marry me, it didn't show her he don't want you, but she still didn't care. She was gonna be that 20 woman, I guess. That 20%, Tyler Perry with 80-20.
Right. Wow. So, Mr. Drummond, tell us about the lady. Like I assume she might did you know her that well, or what? Like what was the, I don't want to put you too much on the spot, but how did you feel about just her existence, and then also how did you feel when Mrs. Drummond just mentioned that the lady had been trying to play this game with your wife? How does that make you feel?
Well, I just found out, so how can I feel? But it was someone that I, back when I was in the military, someone I was dating, at the time, so it was, then when we decided to get married, we kind of broke it off. She went her way and I went my way, but we still supposedly we were friends, but I didn't know about a letter or anything that she received. But yeah, we were friends. Yeah.
Okay. So how did she know about Vicki? Did you like, was it something where you had told This
Yeah,
woman, like, look, I got somebody else I'm married, that kind of thing.
yeah, I had her pictures and everything. She knew we were, still seeing each other, but her being in college, she had someone that she was seeing at the time, and and I, and me and her were seeing each other. So, but then all of a sudden we decided, or maybe it's better for us to get married instead of being separate. So, and that's when I guess she called hers off and I called mine off, but I guess this young lady didn't see it that way.
She didn't go away.
Really? Okay. So I'm curious, Mrs. Drummond, when this lady's, kind of, fronting on you like that and saying, I'm going after your husband. How did that make you feel when you read that letter and everything else? I mean, did you talk to Mr. Drummond about it?
No, I trusted him that he did what he needed to do. I felt like he did what he needed to do when he made the trip back to South Carolina to marry me and drive back cross country with me. I felt like he made his decision, and I trusted him 100% that he did his part. He did what he needed to do. So I really wasn't worried about her at all. I wasn't worried about her at all. But then she also was in our space. She was already there at California. She was in the military as well. But I trusted him to do his part of what we made a commitment. We stood in church before our friends and for God and made a commitment to each other.
Wow. Okay, so she sent this letter after y'all had got married, not like
before.
Oh, it was before. Okay, so it sounds like she was disappointed, like kind of like maybe she felt like there was a competition and she lost the competition. That kind of thing.
Well, to me, she's like what Tyler Perry said: the 80-20. That 20% woman is always looking to be the 80. She's always wanting to be the one, but most women are fool a man and let them know I can hang with you, I can kick with you, even though I know you got a girlfriend that you're serious about. Me and you can still hang together and kick it. But then when he made his choice, she didn't get out of the picture. The bad thing about that, though, come to find out, after me and him been married a few months, he had a cousin that worked in finance in the Air Force. Well, this girl shows up in finance with her husband who was stationed somewhere else. It had his cousin's office because she had did something with their finances. And so the husband and her ended up in his cousin's office. And we go to dinner at his cousin's house. They're an older couple. And his cousin asked in front of me, Michael, did you know she was married? And Michael like, no. I looked at him like, so she had a husband.
Wow. So she was married so she had a husband the whole time she was trying to get with Mike.
Yeah. And he was military. He was military as well and a policeman. But he was stationed somewhere else. He left her at one place in California, an apartment. He came back. She had moved. And I guess she had messed something up with her finances because she ended up in his cousin's office with this finance thing. And that's how his cousin found out she was married because the cousin knew her. The cousin knew her because he took her to the cousin's house, the older couple, so they met her. They had met her before. So when we went to dinner, because almost every Sunday, his cousin and his wife expected me and him to be at their house for dinner. They treated us like we were their kids. They were an older couple than us. And so he outright said in front of Mike, hey, did you know she was married? And Mike's like, no. I said,
wow.
Wow.
That's interesting. Well, everybody who just came in, I'm speaking to Mike and Vicki Drumming, and Mike and Vicki Drumming are among the stars of the new film that we just created called To Death Do Us Part, which is a continuation of the Black Love Blueprint series. We've been working on this series for 6 years, and this movie took us 2 years. And there's also the Black Love Blueprint 1 and 2, and then this is the third installment. And you can watch the film with us for free. Every Thursday night, we broke it into 6 pieces. We're going to do part 5 this week, Thursday night at 8 o'clock. So if you'd like to join us for a conversation about what it takes to build a family, join us. Go to blackmovienight.net. That's where you can register. The URLs on the screen. And the goal, just in case anybody's not clear, the goal is that if you want something out of life, you got to go look for your instruction manual. If you want to learn something, you got to go find your teachers. Your teachers are right in your community. These are the people that have actually done it. No couple that we're talking to has been married less than 30 years. And I really think it's beneficial to all of us, everybody who wants to build family and everything else, to really hear from people that have really done it. Like when I wanted to run a marathon, I didn't go talk to somebody who can't run 100 yards down the street. I talked to marathon runners who could tell me what it was like. So marriage is a marathon. It's worth it at the end, but it's just like a marathon. It can be really hard to get through those 26 miles and counting. Okay, so that's what we're doing. That's why we're here, and that's what it's all about. Give me a thumbs up button and give me a yes in the chat if you follow what I'm saying here. So you talked about Mrs. Drumming, and I want to go back. I want to go to Mr. Drumming. Y'all said a lot of things. I'm taking notes here because I'm learning, because I've been married less than a year actually, and I'm constantly taking in this information. And you mentioned a couple of things that really got my attention. You talked about how you trusted him to handle it, and I really was impressed that you said that, because, and I just met y'all a few minutes ago, so I'm going off what I know and what I see. I'm impressed that you said that, because a lot of people can't trust. A lot of people, they only trust what they can see. They only trust what they do. They only trust what they know. Like if I can't confirm that you handled it, if I can't see proof that you handled it, then I'm not going to believe you. And I don't know about Mike, but that bothers me. I hate that. It's like, look, I told you I got it. like I'm gonna handle this. So Mike, tell me from your perspective about this, in terms of this going on with this other woman. How involved was this after the fact? Like after you found out she was married and everything, like did she pop up again, or what were you thinking as you were kind of seeing all this going on?
No, not really. I happened to, maybe if I was back then at the club or something, or see her, around the base, but that was pretty much it.
So when you told, when you let people know that you were going to marry Vicki, and I feel like, I'm gonna tell you, Mike, I feel like you're a strong man. You come off to me like a man's man. Not every guy drives, what was it? You said a gold Trans Am with a T-top.
Yeah,
that's an alpha car. That's like, I'm the man. Look at my, I don't know. Again, I'm just speculating here. And also, you're a military man, which again, thank you for your service, and I respect that. So I'm really curious. This is what I have seen. I'm just laid out here. Y'all can tell me what you think. But when I chose to get married, I chose to get married twice. I did one time, we didn't go through with it. We got engaged and everything and decided to do something different. The second time we did it. But each time, if I was to be honest, I would say that usually when you pick one woman, there's other women that were hoping that they would get picked too. Let's just keep it honest. Like there's other women that are like, well, wait, I thought you might want to marry me. And it's a hard choice, I think, for a man when you say, look, this is the woman I want. This is it. And then what happens is, I felt like you're going to be the bad guy no matter what, because the person you didn't pick is going to say, well, what was wrong with me? Like when I got engaged, I remember there was a woman that I knew from a long time ago who called me and said, what was wrong with me? And I had to explain to her, I said, nothing was wrong with you. You are a wonderful, beautiful, amazing woman, but I can only marry one person. I can't marry 5 women. So did you feel like that was maybe a little bit what was going on, where this lady felt like, wait a minute, I thought that me and him had something special. So clearly it wasn't, because he's marrying this other woman. Like, did you go through any of that at all? Or am I just speculating on this? What do you think, Mike?
I'm pretty sure there was some, but it was just me having this, being on the same base. I got to see her, we seen each other, and I kind of recall we did talk about, I was like, I didn't know you never told me you were married or anything. So, it was kind of, I guess it's time for me to make sure I move on. We got out, you going your way, I'm going my way. If we see you in between, fine, but that's it.
How'd you feel, Mike, when you found out that she was married? Like, did that surprise you? Did that make you mad? I would have been kind of pissed off. I mean, wait a minute. Somebody keeps something like that from you. Like, did that bother you?
Not really. It wasn't a real type, relationship. We're more just like, friends, and we had, we enjoyed hanging out with each other, but there was no.
Because I had his heart.
Yeah, that was no love type thing. We enjoyed each other's company, but but I knew I had to go on my way and she needed to go her way.
Like I said, I had his heart.
I like that.
It was more than just her though that wish they could have married him. There was another person too that wanted to marry him as well. But I knew, he didn't have to say it, but I knew, I knew. He might not even realize that, but I knew. And he's the type of person, he felt like even with this girl, I call her a chick. Even with this girl, he felt like after we got married, that we moved to California, that me and her could be friends. I'm like, no. That's how he felt. You know, he wanted to be friends. Y'all can be friends. He even asked her, "Me, you want to be my wife friend?" She was like, "No." I'm like, "No."
But I like your confidence. I think the confidence is really good. You know, I think that because I mean, Vicki, you could have gone in any direction. You could have if you, let's say you're insecure and you're not sure if Mike loved you or not, you could have acted a fool, and really made the marriage worse. But instead, you understood what you had. And I relate to that because my wife, I've known my wife for a long time. We were friends for a very long time before we chose to have a relationship. And it was just because I wasn't trying to get married till I was in my 40s, to be honest with you. And but when we chose to be together, seeing other men admire her did not bother me because I said, I got her, like she's with me, and I see people who don't understand that. Like they will freak out because somebody's looking at their partner, or somebody, they think their partner could be attracted to another person. I think that insecurity is very bad for a relationship. I think it makes people less attractive, in my opinion.
We dealt with that early on in our dating stage. He had got done wrong by somebody, and he was showing his lack of trust on me when I hadn't done anything. So I was like paying for what she had did. Then finally I had to stop it and let him know, it's not, basically I'm not that person. But I don't even know if he realized he was doing that to me. But my mom noticed him, like my head turned, his head turned. My mom noticed that. And I immediately was like, I'm not dealing with anybody that can't trust me. And I ain't giving you no reason not to trust me. And I was popular in high school, and a lot of guys hung around me. And in basketball, I was in clubs, a queen. And, he knew this, but he knew he was the one. And I had to show him that because of what the other person had done to him.
Wow.
We nipped that in the bud real quick once he knew how it was that, hey, I'm for you, nobody else. All these other guys around me, they friends, they know you. They respected him. They acknowledged him when they came around. His mom was awesome, though. I love his mom and dad. When I was still in high school and I was pretty popular, and I got asked to do a homecoming escort, be a homecoming escort for this football player. And his mom told him, you're out of high school. You done went through high school. Let her enjoy her last years of high school. And I was able to escort this young man, and I was his girlfriend, and he had no issue with it. His mom, let him know, let her live her high school years out, her last year out. You had yours. And then the guy escorted, he knew too. Hey, Mike is her boyfriend. So we kind of nipped that in the bud real quick about looking at somebody. And he knew me. By growing up in bad marriages, I told him, if there's ever a chance that I step out on you, it's gonna be because of somebody that's better than what I got. And I said the same thing for you. If you step out on me, you better make sure it's somebody better than what you got.
Wow, I like that. Well, I'll tell you this. Let me ask you this. So, and everybody who's watching, I'm speaking with Mike and Vicki Drumming, and they are in the film "Till Death Do Us Part," and you can actually watch the movie with us Thursday night at 8:00. Go to blackmovienight.net. That's where you can register and watch it for free. You can watch it for free, but you got to show up live. So that's Thursday night at 8:00, and we're gonna watch that part of the film, as well as have a conversation about relationships after with some experts for those of you that are trying to figure it all out. So let me ask you this, Mr. Drummond. You and Mrs. Drummond y'all are master teachers for today. You put in the 34 years of hard work to stay married. And I would love to ask you the question that I think could help a lot of people. What would you say if you had to pick maybe one or two things that made the difference in your ability to last 34 years in a world where most people don't get that far? What would you say were the values that you carried as a couple, as an individual, that led you to be able to achieve this?
Well, first, I guess I have to say, a long time ago, someone told me that there's no perfect marriage. It's just two imperfect people learning to live with each other, so that's what we done. We had to learn to live with each other. I know I'm not perfect. She knows she's not perfect, but, we were able to, put that aside and move on, I just got to say this, one of the biggest problems, I think in any marriage is going to be financial, you know, and that kind of hurt us in the beginning, you know. I'm the type person I love, you know, everything I do, I'm doing it for my family. I could care less about me. If I do something, it's because my daughter, my son, my wife needs something. Me, I could care less about, you know, I care about myself, but I could care less about doing. I want to make sure they got what they need first. So finance is a big thing that, you know, you really need to discuss and make sure you guys on the same, you know, playing field when the same.
Be in agreement.
Yeah, be in agreement when you do get married. You know, just make sure you say, hey, look, I'm making this, you making that. Maybe you are, let's put something away. Let's put a percentage away. That's, you know I make much more than you, so I put 50% away, you put 20, you know, and you know, and that goes a long ways for a relationship.
Okay, so be in agreement in terms of figuring out what the plan is, which makes sense, right? How can you be successful when you don't have a plan? If they say, you know how they say, if you don't plan to fail, you fail to plan, or something like that. Or when you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And then also you said there's no perfect marriage, just two imperfect people learning to live together. And I like that, not expecting perfection from each other. I think that's a big deal. So Mrs. Drummond, what would you say if I was asking you and I said, hey, how do you do it? What is it that about you that allowed you to make it this far? What would you say? And maybe it's the difference between yourself and other couples that didn't make 34 years.
Well, I look at marriage as an investment. I look at marriage as an investment. Like, he invested a lot in me, I invested a lot in him, and then the main thing is that love that you have for one another. You know, I think about, if I get upset with him, I think about what made me fall in love with him, and then I remember God showed me his heart. He showed me my husband's heart. And that made a big difference for me, to be able to see his heart, to know that his heart was really, truly about us and about family.
Wow. So his heart, and also you said marriage is an investment. Well, you know, I agree with that. You know, I talk about investing all the time. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that your biggest investment involves money. And it doesn't. You know, when Mr. Drummond is saying, and I want everybody to hear this, when Mr. Drummond says that I do things for my family, like I don't even think about myself, I'm doing things for my family, that tells me he's a selfless person. That tells me that he's thinking about what he can contribute. He's adding value. And I told y'all, especially ladies out here, you know, the measure of a man, in my view, is, you know, are the people in your life, are their lives better or worse because you're around? Are you adding value, or are you taking value away? A lot of y'all have men in your life who are not adding value. You know, they show up at their mama's house to borrow $10. They messing up their kids because they abandoned the kids. They ain't loving the kids. They mistreating women. They're bringing terrible things into your life. They're not adding value. So what I really like here, and again, I can say the same thing in terms of what I'm hearing from Mrs. Drummond as well, is that you know, the benefit that the two of you have is that as a team, you're able to do so much more than you could as individuals. Because think about this, having a person who says, my job is, you know, I'm here for the family, and I'm sure Mrs. Drummond feels the same way. I'm here for the family before myself. It's, you know, a person like that is more likely to succeed in every area of life. You know, compare that to doing it all by yourself. You know, like I have a couple people that work for me, and they work very hard to help us achieve goals as a group. If I was trying to do all that by myself, I would fail miserably. I would not be able to do half the stuff that I do. So that doesn't just go for marriage. I think that goes for everything. And so I think that when you said marriage is an investment, I like that. I think that's good language to use. So everybody take notes on this. You don't expect perfection, right? You know, that's another thing. I don't know if y'all noticed that, how many people expect their marriage to be a little fairy tale. And then when it's not, they like, oh, it was, I thought it was going to be like a Snow White movie, but it ain't. Life ain't a Snow White movie. And being in agreement before you get married, I like that, because that's that says that if you, what I read somewhere in a book, actually it was about running a business, but a marriage is a lot like running any sort of business sometimes. And they said that if you want to achieve goals as a group, you have to have three agreements. You got to agree on three things. One, what are the goals? What are we trying to do together? So that's where your value systems have to be in alignment. Two, what are the roles? What's everybody's role? You know, I don't think there's any book that tells you what the man's role or the woman's role is supposed to be. I think you make that decision on your own. right? And but you got to be clear, because if you're not clear, then it's like if we in the car and I thought my job was to be the driver and you thought your job was to be the driver, then we both got our hands on the steering wheel, the car's gonna crash, right? And then the third part is it was goals and roles and and the process. What's the process going to be for us to figure this out? So anybody write that down. If you write those 3 things down and you memorize that, that's going to make a big difference in your life. So Mr. and Mrs. Drumming, first of all, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate this. And also, I'd like to ask, I guess, the last quick question. So, what was it like to reflect on your life in the movie when you opened up and you shared your experience and stuff like that? I'll start with you, Mrs. Drumming, ladies first, and then Mr. Drumming. I'd like to hear your perspective. What was that like, kind of shooting the movie and being a part of that?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because I knew that the goal was to just share and be transparent with other people, that maybe they can be blessed by it, to let them know that they can get through it. It's possible to get through things like this, that what we went through, and anything else when you make that commitment.
Okay. And Mr. Drummond, what did you feel kind of going through just all of this?
It was strange, for me. I'm the type person, I hate seeing myself on TV, for one thing. And up to this day, I still haven't watched it, to be honest with you. I have not, I just kind of refused, because I was like, I don't want to hear what I sound like. I don't want to see what I said. It's easier for her to tell me. She's going to tell me anyway. So it's easy just to hear from her.
Well, my wife has that same problem. She has a hard time listening to herself and viewing herself. And so everybody in the chat, tell Mr. Drummond he looks great and he sounds great. I think you look great and you sound great. And I don't know how you feel about it, but we're here to honor you, sir. And I appreciate you and your wife for sharing, because believe me, we reach a decent number of people, and I know what a lot of them need, and a lot of them just need guidance. They can't say they had 2 parents that were married 34 years that could tell them things, and so you're blessing a lot of people. So I appreciate you enduring that awkwardness and sharing so openly, because that's really going to help a lot of people. So thank you both very much.
Thank you.
I like to thank him too, because he's normally very, very quiet. He's more of an observer,
That's all right. That means he's smart. That means he's taking in the information, and and I think you, Mrs. Drummond, it sounds like you could be the spokesperson for the couple, and he's the observer. He's the one that sits in the back and knows what's going on. So I like that. I like that teamwork.
Well, one of his friends said his retirement said, my husband's like E.F. Hutton at the job in the Air Force. The commander would love for him to just come and sit in his office and just talk to me, because he know when my husband speak, it's going to be profound. So they said he's like E.F. Hutton at work. When he opened his mouth, everybody like stop and listen, because he very seldom say anything.
Yeah. Well, it's supply demand. It's like some people oversupply their words. I make that mistake. I talk so much that sometimes when I talk, people get tired of listening because I said so much. But my father is like Mr. Drummond. He won't say much, so that when he does talk, something important is gonna come out of the mouth. And so I respect that immensely. So I want to say thank you very much to Mr. and Mrs. Drummond. I hope everybody in the chat will give them a thank you for the gems that they shared today. And also, if you all want to join us for the movie, it's totally free. You can go to blackmovienight.net to register. We're going to watch Thursday night at 8:00. That's blackmovienight.net. The film is called Till Death Do Us Part by Tiara KJ Williams. And also, those of you who just are connected with the things we're doing in the Black Business School, also tomorrow night we're doing 8:00 or 8:30. We're still working through Dr. Claude Anderson's book, Black Labor, White Wealth. It is part of the book club. It's totally free if you join us live. So if you'd like to analyze this book and keep breaking it down, we're going to do this over the next year. Go to blackkeystogreatness.com. That's the URL on the screen. So we have stuff going on for you all week long that will enrich your life and make your life better. If your life is not better because you're here, then we're not doing our job. So God bless everybody. And thank you again to Mr. and Mrs. Drummond. I appreciate it. All right. And everybody, please have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon. Take care. Bye.